Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Look at that. How fitting. Sam Flannel, Michigan helmet, Michigan hoodie. He's locked in. And as you should be, Sam Flannel, this is a big day for you.
All right, well, now that I got that out of the way, because it is a very, very big helmet and it was slipping on my head, what a great day to be alive, everybody. Is everybody feeling as good as me on this morning, or is it just me?
Not quite.
Not quite? Well, yeah, Lucas, I'm sorry about that. But hey, maybe Ohio State will get rid of Ryan Day and make it all better for you again.
I hope so.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that more later.
We'll get to that. A lot of Michigan, Ohio State today. JB with the Redwings gear, by the way. Shout out to the Redwings.
Yeah.
They've won 3 straight. Wins over the Devils, the Bruins, and most recently, yesterday, the Wild. So, good, very fitting to wear that stuff, JB. JB's joining us as well. Toledo's own, Ohio State fan, resident Ohio State fan.
Ryan Day hater.
Ryan Day hater. You made that very clear. You were hanging on by a thread with Ryan Day.
I was.
You made that very clear.
I gave him one last chance, and that fucker, I don't care. Like, I get it. You couldn't blame that whole game on him. Like, it really wasn't that bad of a coaching game. But the man is 1-6 in big games, 1-3 versus Michigan.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It does not matter what you do at Ohio State. You could go 10-1, 11-1. If you lose to Michigan, that is the one win that you need to have every year.
Why?
And it's been 3 straight seasons.
It's similar to why Jim Harbaugh was getting so much flack. You know this, Sam Flannel, early on in his tenure. It wasn't good enough. You weren't beating Ohio State. What the hell? That's the whole point.
More.
That's the whole point of you being here. Now Ryan Day, it's deja vu. Now it's Ohio State fans treating Ryan Day like that. Like, hey man, I don't give a damn how many games you win in the regular season. If you can't beat Michigan, which by the way, he's 1-3 against Michigan, and Michigan wins 3 in a row, first time since 95, 96, 97. So and there you go. Thank you for that, Lucas. Look at Judgment Day. I love that graphic. Ryan Day, career versus Michigan, 1-3 in playoffs, 1-3 in other games, 54-1. Look at other games, 54-1. Great record. But when it matters, Sam, you can't win.
Fraud.
Well, and here's why today is so sweet. And I have to get this out of the way because after the game, I was feeling pretty, I would say, feisty. And in a lot of ways, I was very, very happy. I was at the big house for that one, got to join in on the celebration, got to experience all the highs and the lows of the game, especially the ultimate high, which ended up being Rod Moore's game-sealing interception to ultimately win the game.
What was your favorite play besides that?
My favorite play besides that, and I'm gonna talk more about it later on. It had to be that Blake Corum 22-yard touchdown right after Zach Zinner got hurt. I thought it was very symbolic in a lot of ways.
Stadium probably was crazy.
Oh my goodness, it was pandemonium. That was the loudest I heard the stadium all game, except for maybe the Rod Moore pick. But before I get to all of my Michigan loving, I just have to say to all the Ohio State fans, to all of the Michigan State fans who became Ohio State fans, to all of the whole nation who wanted Michigan's downfall so bad and preyed on them. I know most of America rooted for Ohio State yesterday. I just have to tell you guys that you guys can open your mouths, take this L, just take it right now. Just take it. And I'm going to shove it in your mouth.
Oh, whoa.
And when it's in your mouth,
doing that to me, Flannel.
And you choke on it, I will not be giving you the Heimlich maneuver. Enjoy this L, live in this L, and just take it. Because Michigan isn't going anywhere. You guys all wanted us to fail. You guys all wanted us to lose to Ohio State. And now, and for the record, let me pump the brakes a little bit. Job is not finished. Michigan can't fully vindicate.
The job isn't finished. Okay,
or have a fully successful season unless they obviously finish this off with a national championship. But the reason why this game meant so much, I think, is because there's a lot of noise surrounding the program, whether it's self-inflicted, whether it's, I don't want to get into that. A lot of it is self-inflicted, but still, there were a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of Ohio State fans, a lot of Michigan State fans, a lot of college football fans, a lot of people like Paul Feinbaum or Heather Dinich or some of those ESPN talking heads, a lot of people on Twitter, both in the Ohio State, Michigan State, national people, that if Michigan would have lost this game, would have invalidated every single thing that they did over the last 3 years. And I don't think it's fair. And us Michigan fans, we realize that it would have been stupid, but still, they would have had a lot of people backing them, and they would have felt like they have a leg to stand on. So with this win, it shows that Michigan 100% runs the Big Ten, however much that means. They haven't got done the college football playoff, but still, that is a big deal when you do it 3 times in a row, and you're probably going to win a Big Ten championship 3 times in a row when they play Iowa next week. That is a big deal. You give yourself many opportunities to go win the national championship while vanquishing your biggest rival that beat your ass for many years 3 times in a row. That is absolutely huge. That is why it is so big, because it validates almost everything that they did over the last 3 years. They didn't have Jim Harbaugh. They didn't have Connor Stallions. And
he was there, though. Booner had eyes on him.
He was in the house, but they won that game. That is one of the biggest wins in the history of the program, and I think moving forward, this is a team that can go win the national championship. And it was just so sweet, so vindicating. I was at 2021. That was amazing, but 2023 was just that much better, because even people who chirped all month ever since this stuff had came out, I saw them. I saw a lot of you Ohio State Twitter people. I saw a lot of Michigan State people. I saw every single one of your tweets. A lot of you just had to shut your mouth after this game and give us our props, because Michigan earned them. And that is why I am so happy today. Job's not finished. If Michigan doesn't go on and win the national championship, it will still be a failed season. But right now, I'm going to enjoy this one at least until for a long time. For a long time. It was a great game.
But we are going to clip that up, right, JB? We cannot let the beginning of that statement just go unscathed like nothing happened there.
Yeah, that's definitely getting clipped.
That was a technical 2 out of the game.
Yeah, throw the flag.
It's a flag fresh out the gate. Like, come on now.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Man said he's going to shove it in your mouth, and you're going to take it. And
because
he's
I'm
going to give you the
right
Heimlich.
up in you. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, though. A lot of people just have to take this L, choke on it, and love it. And that's fine. I've had to choke on a lot of L's for a lot of years, especially between the years of like 2008 and 2020.
No, of
so
course.
I'm going to enjoy these ones.
Of course.
I
This
am
guy will
going
not
to
stop
enjoy this. And you know what else? Just so I get this out of the way, fuck Ryan Day.
Yeah, Ryan Day shouldn't even be allowed to take the team bus back. He should just take an Uber. Like, there's no way they should let that man back on the bus.
You know what?
Take a Greyhound back, Ryan. take a Greyhound back. You don't deserve to stand on the same sideline that Toledo legend Urban Meyer, Jim Tressel stood on. You are a joke and a fraud, and you are destroying the culture of Ohio State Buckeye football. I'm calling for Brian Hartline to be the head coach now. Now.
You know what,
Make it happen.
You know what Ryan Day is? A lot of old school Michigan fans and Ohio State fans will understand this reference. He is a slightly better version of John Cooper. John Cooper was the coach of Ohio State from the late 80s to 2000. He had a lot of great teams, like those mid-90s Ohio State teams like 95 and 96 that had national championship aspirations until they ran into Michigan and lost both of those years. And then they lost again in 97, the year that Michigan actually won that game, and they had the national championship aspirations and won the national championship. John Cooper had a lot of great teams, coached a lot of great players. You look at some of the guys like Eddie George, like Sean Springs. I mean, many, David Boston, many great players, but was 2-10-1 against Michigan. And that was ultimately his downfall. And don't get me wrong, Ryan Day is not as bad as John Cooper right now, but he is trending towards being the next John Cooper.
Ryan Day's just a bitch, though. John Cooper at least wasn't a bitch. Ryan Day is just a Justin Fields merchant. He got to live off the last year of Justin Fields, and that is his career. That is it. Look how good it's coming from me. Look how good CJ Stroud actually is.
Right.
Marvin Harrison. You had those two on the same field for multiple seasons, and you couldn't win one. Not a single big game.
I mean, he's lost 3 straight to Michigan, and we could sit here and compare 5-star recruits versus 5-star recruits, and I'm telling you right now, it's not even close.
No.
What Ryan Day's had compared to what Michigan has, and that actually speaks more to how you guys are developing players. I think that's incredible. I want to read some of these comments too. People are chiming in. They're kind of talking about what Sam that statement from earlier. They were kind of talking about too. Let's see. Herb Nash says made Marvin Harrison look mid.
Okay. Stop.
I wouldn't go that far. I will say this though.
As Chad / Johnson says.
Legend. I will say this though. Will Johnson did a very good job. But to say he looked mid, remember we talked about this, Sam? I said if you hold him under 100, that's a good day. And he got a little over 100, but he made some plays. As soon as Will Johnson left, he did make some of the bigger plays of the entire game.
Well, I mean, here's the reality. And Lucas,
except for the one play.
Will Johnson twice in the first half.
He had that one bomb Kyle McCord got to him.
And the other one, and Kyle McCord dropped it in a bucket. I'll give him that. But he had a really nice concentration catch on him.
But it looked a lot easier when Will Johnson left.
That's true, yeah. And Will Johnson's a top 10 pick. I'm not going to act like that.
Well,
I'll give you that. Will Johnson did look very good.
As the biggest Michigan fan probably that I know and a lot of you know, as somebody who loves the team and was at the game and lives and dies with them, there will be no Marvin Harrison Jr. slander today from me. And I don't think there should be from any of you as well, because Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of those guys that I respect the hell out of. And yes, he did get Will Johnson twice. One of them when Will Johnson was committing pass interference and Marvin Harrison still hung on with one hand. He had 5 catches for over 110 yards and a touchdown. If
that's a mid.
If you're a wide receiver, if you do that as a wide receiver every single game in college football, you are contending and you might damn well win the Biletnikoff Award. Those are phenomenal numbers.
Yes.
But Will Johnson, like I said in the last show on Friday, I don't think anybody can stop Marvin Harrison Jr., but I think Will Johnson did a very, very good job against him and even got a pick against him, because Marvin Harrison Jr., if you remember, his touchdown catch was when he was schemed into having a linebacker covering him. I think it was Michael Barrett. That was terrible. And then in the last drive, Will Johnson was out of the game.
Yep.
So it wasn't all Will Johnson getting burned by Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it was just two heavyweights going at it, and each got the best of each other at least a couple of times. It was a great matchup.
Yeah, he's still going to go top 5. Marvin Harrison's an incredible player.
Yeah.
Hoop Hard, it says Ryan Day lost to a substitute teacher because Ryan Day himself is a substitute teacher.
That's facts.
That's
a
true.
bar. That's a bar.
That's a bar.
Guys, here's the reality. Right now, and I know Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, he just refers to Ryan Day as third base. And the more and more Ryan Day keeps losing these big games, the more and more, he's third base at this point. He was gifted this program by Urban freaking Meyer, a guy who won a national championship at Ohio State, a guy who was undefeated against Michigan, one of the greatest coaches in college football history. You could argue the greatest. And then Ryan Day comes, and he's not been bad. Don't get me wrong. He's 56-7 in his entire career as a coach. That's a great record. But when you're at Ohio State and you're gifted a program like that, you're expected to at least over 4 years go 2-2 against Michigan.
That's like getting the 2 seed in the NFC and losing the wild card round every time.
Sure.
You're a fraud. He has the best recruiter in college football, and Brian Hartline on the sideline, so he's benefiting from that. The dude just whines like when you just meet that spoiled kid that gets everything they want, gets all the nice 5 stars, gets everything they want. And then when it just starts to not become the way, they just bitch. They just start crying. He literally cries on the sideline. It's disgusting to watch as an Ohio State fan. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and we were watching that game in person. Not obviously we were at the game, but we were watching the game. And it seemed like every time they cut to Ryan Day, he was just bitching. It didn't matter the situation. He just was bitching. But regardless,
Fat pig.
Do you really think he gets fired?
No, that's the thing.
Okay, I was going to say,
Lunar, if Ryan Day does not get fired, I'm joining the other side. I'm going to Michigan just because I hate Ohio State that fucking much if they do that. I'll hate it. I will hate it.
Not only are you stealing recruits, Sam, you're stealing a J.J. McCarthy, you're stealing a Rod Moore, but you're taking fans too. Look at that. You're taking Ohio State fans because Ryan Day, he just ain't him.
And I used to be like an Ohio State slappy. But it's just disgusting to watch. It's like, wake up. If I can see it, how the fuck can you not see it?
Look, this comment, Jesse Adams. Jeff, can you ask Sam about not having a deep ball threat? Does that concern you? Michigan is going to have to throw in the playoffs. He says, just asking, not in a dickhead way either. Even put the parentheses. I would give you this, because we had this conversation, after the Penn State game, after the Maryland game. I was nervous, and I told you this, Lucas, just him being out of rhythm. I didn't know how that would translate. Now you're at home. It's the biggest game. They're going to need you to throw. Although he didn't throw for a ton of yards, Sam, he had beautiful throws, NFL throws, NFL windows, and he was completing some of these passes. I wouldn't worry. If I'm talking about things you're concerned with, I probably wouldn't get to JJ's arm because he showed that.
Well, I think they're also talking about wide receivers. I know their wide receiver core isn't the strongest, but you know what, Jesse Adams?
Did you watch last year's game? I mean, with the same receivers?
I know we
deep ball galore last year. What are you talking about?
But Jesse Adams, my point is like we can't just blow every single topic on the first one. I know it's gonna get a little bit disjointed today because I'm just on cloud 9 right now. But I'll get to it, Jesse. I promise I'll get to my concerns, what makes me excited, all of that. I promise you. In a couple segments.
All right, let's head to break here. Before we do that, though, I got to tell you about our friends over at Hamlin Pub, which is a great place to play to watch games like the Michigan game or the Big Ten Championship game. Iowa.
Tough opponent right there. Tough opponent.
Tough one, huh?
Neil's on the stand today, big time.
He is. He took L's this weekend. Have you ever wanted to be at a bar where you're known as a regular? We have just the place for you. Head to one of Hamlin Pub's 7 locations and experience where everyone is a regular. Half-off pizza on Thursdays. Game day specials and available all throughout Michigan sports and NFL games. Hamlin Pub is the place. Visit a location today and experience your new favorite pub for all things sports.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Woodward Sports and Long Drink live every home game for the official Lions VIP tailgate party. It's at Eastern Market and Shed number 5, and it is always a bash, starting at 9:30 a.m. until game time. The official Lions tailgate is back and better than ever. How would you like to pregame with Woodward Sports and be treated like a VIP? Food, beverages, and entertainment all included. Get your tickets online today at bullseyeeventgroup.com or win some from Woodward Sports today. Just subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on IG, and direct message Lions VIP.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Talking Michigan, Ohio State, really quickly too. And this is unrelated. We're not even going to get into this conversation because it's not worth it. We're not doing it today. But I want to bring it up. Michigan State finally found their head coach.
Oh yeah,
Oregon State's head coach.
I think that's a good
Jonathan
hire.
Smith, which is honestly, it's not. It's for people that might not watch college football a ton. It's probably like who is that? But if you pay attention to college football, that's a great hire. Jonathan Smith's a good coach. He won Pac-12 Coach of the Year last year. He turned around at Oregon State, man.
Yeah,
and
they were bad.
They've been pretty good. So just wanted to mention that for all the very few Michigan State fans we do have tuning into the show. But I want to get into the takeaways because it is time now to get into our takeaways from Saturday. Michigan defeats Ohio State 30-24. Man, you watch college football and you see Georgia and the close game they played and some of what's been happening around college. I think that was undoubtedly one of the more impressive wins of what Michigan did. They played, and if you think about it and you watch the game, Ohio State never led the game.
Nope.
They were always trying to catch up. It started from the very beginning and it happened all the way down to the end. And there was a lot of different storylines to get into. I want to get into that stuff at 8:30, more so the JJ stuff, because I want to revisit me and our discussion about JJ. And because, again, he made some incredible throws on Saturday, and I'm curious where that trends and how he plays in the playoffs. Another thing, Michigan, the national championship, what the seeding's going to look like, because there's a lot of different
path?
Yeah, because there's a lot of different scenarios we'll get into, Sam. For example, how the seeding's going to work, especially with Washington and now Oregon winning whoever wins the Pac-12 there, and then you have Georgia and Alabama who wins the SEC. You have Texas with one loss. There's a lot of different storylines there, but we'll start with the takeaway. Sam, What are your initial takeaways from Saturday? What stood out to you?
All right, so I'm going to be a little long-winded with this one because it was such a good game, and there were so many differences in the game in which Michigan succeeded and Ohio State failed. I think there were 6 things that I can take away. 6 things that Michigan did, Ohio State didn't. And not only Michigan, these are the type of things that championship teams do to win games and championships. Number 1, Sherrone Moore outcoached Ryan Day. It seemed like Sherrone Moore was aggressive. He pulled all of the right strings, and Ryan Day coached scared at times. I'm not saying Ryan Day was terrible or anything like that, but Sherrone Moore was aggressive. He seemed to coach with more confidence, and Ryan Day, Michigan is obviously in his head, and Ryan Day had a couple of moments, like an early 4th and 1 at, I think, the Michigan 45 where they punted, and right before the half, they kind of settled for a long field goal. Those are the type of moments in the game where you're like, Ryan Day's puckering a little bit, and Sherrone Moore rose to the occasion. Number 2, and this is something that has been a staple of Michigan football the last 3 years, and it did not disappoint again this season. Michigan's run game. You go back to 2021. In 2021, and I'm giving you these to sort of show a trend. In 2021, Michigan outgained Ohio State 297-64 on the ground. That's absolutely spectacular, led by Hassan Haskins' 169 yards and 5 touchdowns. In 2022, Michigan outgained Ohio State 252-143 on the ground, led by Donovan Edwards' 216 yards and 2 touchdowns, including rushing touchdowns of 75 and 85 yards respectively to seal the game. Absolutely incredible. And in 2023, Michigan's run game, although not as dominant as the years prior, still outgained Ohio State, this time 156-107, led by one of the most legendary players in the history of Michigan football, whose legend can be further enhanced in the college football playoff, none other than Blake the Great Corum, with 88 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 22-yard rushing touchdown with the score tied at 17 after Michigan had just lost their best offensive lineman, Zach Zinner, due to injury. It was very symbolic, and it was just amazing that they were able to, the very next play, get a 22-yard run, the longest run of the day. And once Blake Corum hit the end zone, he threw up the 6-5 to honor Zach Zinner. Just an incredible moment, and an incredible moment by one of the all-time legendary Michigan Wolverines. Yes, I'm calling him that already. So the Michigan's run game, which is often the difference in these games, outgained Ohio State again, and they proved again that they are tougher up front, which they have always been for the last 3 years. My third takeaway: Michigan was 3 of 3 on 4th down attempts, and Ohio State did not attempt one. And all 3 of those 4th down conversions occurred either to give Michigan a touchdown or on a touchdown drive. The first 4th down conversion was the first touchdown of the game, a 4th and goal run by Blake Corum. The next 2 were on the touchdown drive that put Michigan ahead 14-3. One of them was a Blake Corum 4th and 1 run, and the next one was a J.J. McCarthy to Colston Loveland off of a play action short pass. So when Michigan decided to be aggressive, they always converted, and every single one of those conversions was huge, and it led to touchdowns for Michigan. Those are the type of risks that if they pay off, Michigan wins. If they don't, they probably lose. And they called the perfect plays at the perfect time, and they executed, and it was a thing of beauty. Number 4, and this might be the biggest reason of them all, Kyle McCord threw 2 interceptions, J.J. McCarthy threw 0. Kyle McCord, his first interception was absolutely terrible and costly. It was when the score was tied at 0. It was deep in his own territory. He threw a pass intended for Marvin Harrison Jr. That was intercepted by the best cornerback in the country, Will Johnson, which set up a 7-yard touchdown drive, which is obviously very, very easy and advantageous for the offense. That put Michigan ahead 7-0, completely flipped the game in favor of Michigan and in the deficit of Ohio State, to where Ohio State was playing from behind the whole game, and Michigan pretty much controlled the game, and that was, and they pretty much controlled it from there on out, led quarter to quarter. And then Kyle McCord, his second interception was when Ohio State actually had a chance to steal victory out of the jaws of defeat from Michigan. They were at the Michigan 37-yard line. They just completed a pass and a fumble to Julian Fleming, which was called a fumble recovered by Emeka Ibuka, and they looked like to be humming, but when Jalen Harrell put a little bit of pressure on Kyle McCord, he threw it up for grabs into the waiting arms of Rod Moore, which, and here's the thing, You talked about it earlier. We're going to talk about J.J. McCarthy a little bit more. J.J. McCarthy, it's not like he threw for a ton of yards, but he made a lot of big plays, including a huge touchdown pass to Roman Wilson and a lot of huge first down conversions, and he never really put the ball up for grabs, and he played good, clean football, which is what he has done his entire career against Ohio State. So kudos to J.J. McCarthy, and sometimes you got to force a less-than quarterback like Kyle McCord into some big interceptions, and Kyle McCord, of course, delivered as we all thought that he would. And this is my fifth takeaway, and this one is some that might go unnoticed. Michigan's James Turner was 3 for 3 on field goal attempts, and Ohio State was 1 of 2.
Dude, that kick right before halftime pissed me off. So, because I knew the second that he did it, like when he actually kicked it, it needed to, and it went right down the middle. I was like, he's missing it.
Absolutely.
Why the fuck? Like, ask Jeff. I was like, why the fuck did he just do that?
I know, and that's the thing. Michigan was 3 of 3. There were some questions coming into the year about James Turner and how they were going to replace Jake Moody, but in the biggest game of his season, he goes 3 for 3 on field goal attempts, and all of them were absolutely crucial. The first one was a 50-yarder to put Michigan ahead 17-10 when they were previously ahead 14-10. The second one was the field goal to put Michigan ahead 27-17, 2 scores, and the third one was to put Michigan ahead 30-24 with 1:05 left, which means that Ohio State had to go score a touchdown and they couldn't tie it with a field goal. That was absolutely huge. And as you mentioned before, Lucas, the field goal that Ohio State missed would have cut the Michigan lead at halftime to 1.
The game would have been so much different.
It would have been different, but instead it was a 4-point game going into halftime with Michigan getting the ball back to start the third quarter, which they then went down the field and kicked a field goal for themselves. So it was a bit of a 6-point swing, and those are the type of things that flipped the game. So the kicking game, as much as field goal kicking sometimes is minimized, it was absolutely huge in the favor of Michigan. And number 6, and this was a huge one as well, Michigan won the time of possession battle 33-28 to 26-32, highlighted by one of the most impressive clock-killing drives I have ever seen in my entire life. After Ohio State had just cut the Michigan lead to 27-24 with 8:05 left on a Kyle McCord to Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdown pass, Michigan got the ball and proceeded to go on a 13-play, 56-yard field goal drive that took 7 minutes off the clock, forced Ohio State to use all of their timeouts, and I'm pretty sure that Michigan, they didn't throw any incomplete passes. Every single time, it just kept the clock moving. And one thing that was impressive, and this was a very, very good game management moment by the team and J.J. McCarthy, and I sometimes minimize game management, but this is where it's big. He never snapped the ball with more than 5 seconds left on the play clock. Every single time that Michigan would get another first down, another one, a Blake Corum run, a Donovan Edwards run, a J.J. McCarthy throw to Cornelius Johnson, it was just tick, 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 tick. I know for a fact that when Ohio State scored that touchdown to make it 27-24 with a little over 8 minutes left, they did not think that the next time they would get the ball was with a little over a minute left and no timeouts. That was one of the most impressive 4-minute drives I've ever seen in my entire life, and it just basically killed the whole rest of the clock. And at that moment, you force a guy like Kyle McCord on the road with the defense that can pin their ears back to go win the game with just over a minute left and no timeouts. What did you think was going to happen? Of course he was going to make a game-ending mistake when he was pressured by Jalen Harrell. And those, to me, are the differences in the game. Michigan made all of the winning and championship plays and played smarter and more aggressive football when they needed to. And if any of those things go differently, they probably lose that game. But Michigan, they pushed all of the right buttons. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. And to speak a little bit about Sherrone Moore and give him a ton of credit, I think he did a fantastic job. Now, his job was just not to mess it up, but not only that, the little things he did, for example, to like icing the kicker, on fourth down, you think they're going to go for it. It was really just to try and draw Ohio State off sides. Like all the little details, Sherrone Moore did a phenomenal job. I know Jim was able to coach throughout the week, so that benefits Michigan, of course. But man, it makes the whole Ryan Day thing even worse. That like Sherrone Moore out-coached that man.
The double pass that he did, or I should just say the halfback pass that he pulled out?
Yep.
I didn't even mention that.
The trick play from Donovan Edwards.
Day doing that.
Like, it's just a little, I think Sherrone Moore, we'll see what Michigan does post Jim Harbaugh, but he'll be a head coach somewhere, if not at Michigan. So I think you nailed it, Sam Flett. Let's go to break. We come back. We'll get into more the big picture here. Will Michigan win a national championship? What's the expectations? J.J. McCarthy, is he a first-round pick? All that and more. Maybe a little bit of Ryan Day slander. We'll see where that goes.
Always
but before we do that, Sam, could you tell everybody about our friends over at Premier Pet.
Oh, yes, Premier Pet. And even when I'm celebrating Michigan-Ohio State wins, I still got to think about my golden retriever, Jake, and my orange cat, Milo. When it comes to your pet, don't settle. I don't settle when it comes to my pets. They get all of the best treats, food, and toys from Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best like I give my pet the best. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Family owned and operated for over 30 years. 13 Metro Detroit locations, over 60 brands of food, lowest prices, and curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply, give your pet the best. Visit their website at premierpetsupply.com.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests, for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
How would you like to win a $100K Vegas getaway? Take your friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Centron Energy Drink It and Live It sweepstakes. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter for your chance to win. Register at drinkcentron.com/Vegas and buy Centron at your local Myers store. It's Centron, the healthier energy drink with great taste. Look good, feel great, and be the best version of yourself. Once again, that website, drinkcentron.com/Vegas.
JJ McCarthy, do
Maserati,
dude. Gus Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
My
and Joe
quarterback
Klatt.
to my right, Joe Klatt.
Yeah, Gus Johnson he's incredible. I don't know who the player was at Ohio State. Chipper the Ripper.
Chipper the Ripper.
Oh,
Chipper the Ripper. Wow, what a game. Let's get into some of the storylines within the game. JJ McCarthy being one of those guys. And I want to say this about JJ, man, and all the stuff we poke fun about, them not trusting JJ McCarthy. And again, this is a game where they didn't necessarily need it. They were running the football. They ran for over 150 yards on Ohio State, which that sounds about right. Blake Corum finally gets to play. Last year wasn't unable to, and he played well. But you know what, though? And I guess this is the difference, when you watch these games versus if you're just looking at the stat sheet. Because if you're looking at J.J. McCarthy's stats, you're like, oh, he doesn't turn the ball over. 19 touchdown passes, third in the nation in QBR. Like, all that stuff's good. But if you watch some of these games, Sam Flannel, I will admit, he made some incredible throws. Like, he really did. And that's why, again, he's a 5-star recruit. Even the people that do believe he's a first-round pick, like, you see it. You see the talent. You see that he's mobile. He's got the arm. Didn't throw for a ton of yards, of course. So, again, like, the resume is what it is. But I got to give you that, Sam Flannel. J.J. McCarthy, man, some of those throws were incredible. Kyle McCord was making those throws, clearly. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, I mean, J.J. McCarthy, for all that people want to say about him, and I'll cut you guys off really quick. I understand that in the last 4 games he's thrown for 1 touchdown pass total, but the reality is, and it's not all because of J.J. McCarthy, but Michigan is 4-0 in those games, and besides for the Maryland game, he hasn't done anything to screw it up. And in this game in particular, he made a ton of good throws. The one on where he was rolling right to Cornelius Johnson on the sideline, that was huge. That touchdown pass to Roman Wilson in one of the tightest windows I've ever seen, that was huge. He had a couple to Colson Loveland, one to AJ Barner, and then he went on that last drive, that clock-killing drive. I know these aren't all the most impressive throws, but Sharon Moore trusted on a 4-minute drive where their only job was to get first downs and kill the clock for J.J. McCarthy to put the ball in the air 3 times, and he completed all 3 of those passes to keep the clock moving, including one on the run where he had to throw a across his body, and he hit Cornelius Johnson when I thought he was just going to throw the ball away. So J.J. McCarthy, you can see the talent, you can see the production he's had for a lot of the year, and he's still, because this season is far from over, has a chance to completely, I would say, not rewrite, but elevate his legacy even to a more high level if he can lead Michigan to a national championship, if he can have impressive performances in the college football playoffs.
Yes. That's next for JJ, Sam, is the playoffs. And you talk about regular season JJ, like, yeah, we're seeing what we've seen last year of JJ. He takes care of the football. He makes some incredible throws. He's in these games, of course, last year it was a different game. He had some passes there that were, stretching the field. He didn't have to do it this year. They ran the football. They won that way. It's fine. But the question I have for you is, in the postseason, when you have a Georgia, you have maybe a Washington, an Oregon, whoever makes it, maybe even an Alabama, there might be times where you're not able to run the ball as effectively. Zach Zinner, he's injured. He's out for the year. I think he broke his tibia, to be honest with you. I think that's the official ruling there. It was a tough injury.
It's bad. Yeah.
I think that's gonna take a hit to your offensive line. If you can't run the football, JJ, this is where the not winning with, winning because of comes into play. And if JJ can do that, of course he cements his legacy. But last year, that was not winning because of or coming close because of. But the defense let you down, but 2 pick sixes, there's nowhere to go but up from here. As long as he doesn't do that again, that's it. That's all he has to do. Take care of the football.
That'll obviously put you behind the 8 ball. But when you talk about J.J. McCarthy in the postseason, you can look at the pick sixes, of course, but I will always say this, and a lot of people don't like it when I do this, he did a lot to bring Michigan back from that, and the Michigan defense also let them down because they allowed over 260 rushing yards to TCU. They allowed over 160 receiving yards to Quentin Johnston, including a 75-yard receiving touchdown. So J.J. McCarthy did show a lot, but he also choked in a lot of ways. And I'm going to put this whole J.J. McCarthy discussion into perspective, because I think there's a lot of Michigan fans, certainly a lot of Michigan skeptics right now, that are wondering, can you win a national championship with J.J. McCarthy?
You see the poll?
I am
60-40 right now.
You know what?
Woodward Sports Chat.
I'm looking at this from a certain angle. Because when you look at the college football playoff right now, and I'm going to deal with what is right now, we can revisit this when more things play out during championship Saturday, Friday next week. J.J. McCarthy, it looks like Michigan will be in the playoff right now. Yep. And then you look at Washington is one of the other undefeated teams. They could lose to Oregon, but that hasn't happened yet, so I'm just going to assume Washington is in for the purposes of this discussion now. Obviously, Michael Penix is a quarterback advantage over J.J. McCarthy, but Washington as a team both narrowly escaped at home Arizona State and Washington State, 2 games against losing Pac-12 teams with a losing record, which Michael Penix did not play well in either of those games. So it's not like Michael Penix, quiet as kept, has kind of had a slow finish to the season. And I get it, as a Michigan fan, I have no room to talk because J.J. McCarthy threw 1 touchdown in the last 4 games combined, but still, Michael Penix doesn't look invincible like he did before. The only quarterbacks that really look invincible right now are Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. And Michigan might not. Neither of those teams might make the college football playoff, so that's null and void.
LSU sure isn't.
No, they are not, and it's not because of Jaden Daniels. It's because that defense decided to turn into bum asses this year. That was a surprise. But anywho, another team that could make the college football playoff is Florida State with their backup quarterback Tate Rodemaker. Do you think J.J. McCarthy isn't a quarterback advantage over Tate Rodemaker? Of course he is. If Florida State had Jordan Travis, we'd be talking about a completely different conversation. But if Florida State beats Louisville in the ACC championship game, they are going to make the college football playoff because they will be undefeated. You even look at Georgia. Carson Beck, you can argue that he's better than J.J. McCarthy. He has more yards, more touchdowns, but the touchdown pass gap isn't that big. But Carson Beck, kind of like J.J. McCarthy, is a player with a lot of talent, has had some good games, has made some big plays, but also, just like J.J. McCarthy, benefits a lot from a running game and a defense. It's not like Carson Beck, like Georgia's winning games because of Carson Beck either. So when you look at the college football playoff and how it lines up right now, it's not like there's questions. People have questions about J.J. McCarthy, but nobody wants to talk about Carson Beck for Georgia or the fact that Florida State has Tate freaking Rodemaker.
I don't think they make it in.
Even if they're undefeated.
Yeah, I really don't. I think that'll be like they'll put in a 1-loss Bama or a 1-loss Ohio State over them, I think. I really do.
They're undefeated, though.
I know, but I just think there's always just that one team that technically they should be in, but they don't get in. And they tried it out with Cincinnati last year, 2 years ago, my fault, and they saw what happened.
And a lot of it's just matchups, because your point about Michael Penix, although he hasn't looked like Michael Penix of early this year. By the way, I think Oregon, they're scary.
Oh, they are.
Oregon's scary. But quickly about Michael Penix, although he hasn't looked like Michael Penix, people forget Max Duggan. They lost the Big 12 championship game.
Sure. No, I mean...
And then he went and they beat Michigan. They lost to Kansas State. He didn't play well, and then they went and beat Michigan. So a lot of that... even though you're correct, Michael Penix has not looked like Michael Penix, these things happen, where, it could be a situation where Penix against Michigan plays a lot differently. I don't know.
Well, and I see Brandon Katz in the chat, and I'm not even going to be a dick or anything like that. He's talking about how Washington is not beating Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. That might be true. That 100% might be true. But Washington did beat Oregon when they played each other head-to-head this year, although Washington is at home. And right now, I'm not speaking in hypotheticals. If the season ended today, the only 4 Power 5 undefeated teams are Michigan, Georgia, Florida State, and Washington. If it changes... when we actually get the college football playoff format, then we'll have a different conversation. I'm just talking about what it is right now. And furthermore, I want to talk about something else too, because we want to talk about Michigan and how they had a bit of an easy schedule, but they have beat their 2 toughest opponents. They've now went to Penn State and won, and beat Ohio State at home. And none of these other teams that they might be facing have faced a team quite like Michigan. Georgia has looked very, very impressive, but they had a very easy start to their schedule as well. They got to play an SEC schedule that did not include LSU or Alabama, although we'll get Alabama in the SEC championship game.
Better get Brock Bowers back too.
Yes, and he is back. And Georgia, their best win of the season was against Ole Miss. It was 52-17. It was damn impressive, but Ole Miss is not Michigan. Florida State, their best win of the season was against LSU, an LSU team that at the time was top 5, but had a couple more losses to end the season. And oh, by the way, Florida State won that game while Jordan Travis was their quarterback, and he will not be available for the college football playoff. You even look at Washington. Yes, Washington beat Oregon, and you can argue that Oregon and Michigan are about the same. I think Michigan's a little bit better. I certainly think they have better defensive personnel, but still, it's not like any of these teams have faced a team quite like Michigan yet, although you can argue Oregon, but Michigan, they've had kind of an easy road as well in a lot of ways, but they vanquished Ohio State, they vanquished Penn State, and now that those are over, we can talk about how Michigan's defense. Let me just talk about this before we forget. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about the schedule. They're going to talk about Drew Aller. They're going to talk about Kyle McCord. But Michigan does have the number 1 scoring defense in the nation. Number 1, they're allowing just over 10 points per game. And you see all the talent that they have on the defensive side of the football. Michigan also has the best run defense of any of the contending teams. Of any of the teams that I mentioned ahead, Michigan has the best run defense over all of them. And like I said before, if you act like all of these teams are playing gauntlets all year, you are 100% wrong. Look it up. And they have the best pass defense of any of the contending teams as well. So when you put it all together, when Michigan has finally played their whole regular season schedule, my point with all of this is that Michigan has just as good of a chance to win the national championship as anybody else in the country. And us Michigan fans should expect them to beat every single team ahead of them on their schedule, because they are more than capable of doing so. There is no dominant Georgia team. Georgia's really, really good, but this isn't the defense of the 2 years prior. Washington, as I mentioned before, they struggled mightily with Arizona State and Washington State, and Florida State lost their quarterback for the season. We might be talking about teams like Oregon and Texas and Ohio State later, but I'm going to save that for when it actually plays out. Right now, Michigan has just as good a chance as anybody in the nation to take home that natty, and I think they're going to do it.
And I hope so, because Jesse is kind of correct here. He says you guys said that last year too.
I understand.
TCU.
And Michigan has a lot to prove. But the good news is, with beating Ohio State, and that's why it was so big for them to win that game, they now pretty much guarantee themselves another shot at the title. And one of the best ways to make up for it is to come back the next year and actually vanquish your opponents. If you want to talk about TCU right now, that's 100% fair. But that's why I cannot wait for the college football playoffs, so that Michigan can finally put those talks to bed. And they've been hearing it all year too. That's why. And I'm so glad Blake Corum made a point of saying this. Job is not finished. That was a big win though, but the job is not finished.
Go beat Iowa.
Imagine. Oh my God.
It's like, oh, you thought the Ohio State was the test.
Yeah.
No, it's Iowa, baby.
Flannel, I meant one-loss Georgia earlier. I said Bama, but I meant one-loss Georgia. Like, if Bama beats Georgia in the SEC championship, I think they'll put Georgia in over Florida State.
They'll put Georgia and Alabama in.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
100%.
what I think.
Yeah.
Instead of Florida State, they'll put winner of the Pac-12. Like, if Oregon wins, boom. Michigan, boom. And then I think SEC championship.
Yeah, because it's a bigger loss. It means more. Like if you lose to Alabama,
yeah, it's like
in the championship game.
Because to Flannel's point, like the biggest win Florida State had was against Jaden Daniels and LSU, but they had Jordan Travis.
Yes,
and the fact that he's not gone, like just for ratings, like money reasons, they're not going to do that.
They're undefeated. I mean, but they could lose to Louisville though. Louisville's a tough team. But Louisville also just lost to Kentucky.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Flick Story Entertainment says shout out to the Ball Knower Lucas for the old school bad boy sweatshirt. Yeah, that's
shout out.
Got to rep it. Look at Ohio State lost. He went right back to Detroit wardrobe.
Yeah,
I respect that. I very quickly. I respect that. All right, let's go to break. We come back. We'll talk a little bit about this Lions defense because I did want to have this conversation. We didn't get to have it last week, but I'm going to ask the people and I'm going to ask the room. Defense for the Detroit Lions. Is it more of a scheme issue or a personnel issue? We'll have that conversation, preview a little bit of what's to come this weekend because those New Orleans Saints, man, some injuries that are occurring. You got Michael Thomas on IR, Chris Olave left with a concussion.
He was going off.
And he was going off. And then you have Derek Carr just doing Derek Carr things.
Shaheed hurt too, so that's the three starting wide receivers.
There you go. We'll have that guy. Taysom Hill. Apparently he's
going to get the Lions this year, man.
I thought you were kidding saying that.
He's not going to have like 150 yards, but like there's going to be like those 3rd down and 3s.
Jesus,
where we're like, all right. Well, those Saints are going to be like, all right, we don't have our receivers healthy. We're going to run Taysom up the middle. And he's going to get that 3rd and 3. He's going to be the guy that just pisses us off. Like the Will Dissly of the Seahawks. Like that'll be Taysom Hill.
It's always one.
It's just like that guy, Nelson Aguilar. Against the Ravens. Like that guy that just should not be going off and having a game. They have their career game against the Lions. It would probably be Taysom Hill.
I'll tell you what, though. Taysom Hill, he's running routes. He looks like he goes to Planet Fitness. That's what he does. He looks in shape. And I'll tell you one thing. If you want to be like Taysom Hill, head over to Planet Fitness because it is the home of the judgment-free zone. And anyone, and I mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. You'll get all this for just $10 a month. No commitment, no matter where you are. There's a Planet Fitness close by, and there are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. We'll see you right back after the break. We'll talk a little bit about Aaron Glenn.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays. Join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Let me tell you about our friends over at Fairway Packing. For over 60 years, Fairway Packing has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry aged beef. Visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks or order online at fairwaypacking.com.
Get your meats.
Get your meats. Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. We just spent the last 30 minutes or so talking Michigan, Ohio State. If you missed it, you can rewind. We're going to move on, talk a little Lions. We'll get to around the NFL in the second hour. A lot of things happened over the weekend. A lot of things transpired. We'll kind of break that down and more. At 9 o'clock, I do want to go through some of the highest and lowest PFF grades, according to, of course, PFF on Thanksgiving. We'll react to who was graded the highest, who was graded the lowest, all that and much more. But first, I do want to bring up the AG segment because, well, again, we didn't really get to talk about it on Friday. But this defense, man, And if I'm asking the question, is it a personnel issue or is it a scheme issue?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. It's both. It is both. Now, how much blame? My problem, and it's been a problem all year, is the pass rush. And like that's been a consistent problem. And of course, good defenses. Hey, if you have a lot of talent, it does help kind of boost your defensive coordinator, no matter what you're scheming. But of course, you have to put your players in the best situations to succeed. So, there's a little bit of both. And we've seen a lot of guys in this defense have career years. Like Alex Anzalone is a guy that no one really thought would be this productive when he first got here. You assumed he'd be kind of a depth piece, but he is their best linebacker they have currently. So from a player development standpoint, I do give AG a lot of credit. He's developed some pretty good players. Jerry Jacobs, undrafted free agent. He's helped out with getting guys and improving their game and getting them to be really full-time starters in this defense. But a lot of it, though, is are they starters because you just don't have a dude? Like Jerry Jacobs is a fine player. He's done a great job this year. But also when Emmanuel Mosley stepped in, Jerry Jacobs went right to the bench. So, part of it is scheme, I think. And part of it, AG deserves blame. I don't think anyone on this team is absolved from blame. That's the one thing I do believe in is people get, this guy doesn't deserve any blame. This guy doesn't. No, there's plenty of blame to go around. You watch these games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But the other part of it, Sam, is, and this is why people were frustrated at the trade deadline, is this defense needs help. And you could point to the secondary because they absolutely got picked apart, but to me it's the pass rush because any good pass rush helps the secondary. You look at San Francisco, the 49ers, they don't have a great secondary. They have some Chardavius Ward, who's playing really well, Tufonga, who's pretty good. But typically, 49ers are getting torched. Their secondary isn't elite. Eagles' secondary isn't elite, but they got a damn good pass rush. And that's what helps those guys. When you don't have to stay in coverage, guys, for 6, 7, 8 seconds, it does help your secondary. And to me, that's been the biggest problem. So if I had to pick one, I would lean personnel. But I do think AG deserves some blame as well. They need to get somebody, and maybe that'll be this offseason, maybe it'll be in the draft, to come help Aiden Hutchinson on this defensive line, and Aleem McNeil. Because I'll tell you one thing, there are people that expect James Houston to come off a severe injury and come provide help and fall from the sky and get a sack a game. I just don't think that's happening. It's unfair for people to expect that, to me, out of James Houston, coming off a severe injury. He's going to take some time to get back to his original form, and they don't have enough depth on this defensive line, no matter who they're playing. I mean, the better the offensive line, yeah, there's concern. If you go in the playoffs, you got the Eagles' offensive line, you got the 49ers' offensive line. Like, at the very minimum, you need somebody else on this defensive line, besides Aleem McNeil and Aiden, that can win one-on-ones, and we have not seen that this year from any of the guys we expected to.
Oh, most certainly not. And the issue of the defense, I think it's a multi-layered thing because I'm going to do something that Easy often does here, and I'm starting to see it more and more as the season goes along. I am going to defend the Glen in this standpoint, just to start off. One, the Lions do have a bottom 10 scoring defense in the NFL, which I think none of us thought was going to happen this year. Then you can start saying it's just like the year before, it's just like 2 years before. But here's the thing. One, this defense has not been played all season the way that it was designed to be played. James Houston has missed all games except for one and then a portion of the Seahawks game. Last year, James Houston, whether you want to say it was fool's gold or not, did have more sacks than games played. And I'd like to think that if he were fully healthy, that this defensive line would be looking a lot different. He'd be able to win some one-on-one matchups. In turn, Aiden Hutchinson would have more sacks. We don't know that for sure, but he had a historic enough of a rookie season to think that maybe it would have carried over into this year to some extent. Also, the secondary that was completely revamped in the offseason, or so we thought, has not been played all season to the way it was designed to be played. It was not designed for Jerry Jacobs to be a starter. It was designed for Emmanuel Mosley to be a starter, and for all intents and purposes, he has missed the whole season. And also, after the Seahawks game, it was learned that C.J. Gardner-Johnson had a torn pec, and he's been out ever since. And he was supposed to be one of the biggest pieces on this defense, and he has not played really hardly at all this year except for 2 games. And that's one thing. And another thing, the Lions offense has put the Lions defense into a lot of bad spots. And here, I will further explain. Was that fumble 6 in the last game the defense's fault? No. Was that pick 6 in the Seahawks game the defense's fault? No. Was the pick 6 against the Raiders the defense's fault? No. Was Craig Reynolds fumbling on a kickoff against the Bears that led to a short field touchdown the defense's fault? No. Was the David Montgomery fumble that led to a 22-yard drive for the Seahawks in that game the defense's fault? No, absolutely not. I'm trying to think of the other one. The fake punt, absolutely, the fake punt. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. The fake punt in the last game that led to a 25-yard touchdown drive by the Packers. Was that the defense's fault? Not necessarily. So it hasn't been quite as bad as people think. That being said, though, if a defense is going to continue to play at least to a passable point, it's going to need other people who have stepped up in the past to step up. John Kaminsky has disappointed. Charles Harris has been basically a no-show. The Okwara brothers, when they've been healthy, which hasn't been all season, have not played to their best of their ability. Josh Paschal has continued to suffer from injuries and ineffective play when he has played. And on the interior of the defensive line, Broderick Martin has turned into a wasted pick at this point, at least for this year. They're playing a guy named Quinnen Bohannon for some reason. I don't know why. Isaiah Buggs has basically been not doing much since the beginning of the year when he finally came back. Levi Onwuzurike is a nothing of a player. So the reality is, that's facts. Everything I said is facts. So there are a lot of factors into this. The offense hasn't always put the defense in good situations, but yeah, the pass rush. I think it's mostly about the pass rush personnel because it is Aiden Hutchinson, it is Aleem McNeil, and then as I said on the losing show on Friday, Goober Pyle and Boo Boo the Fool. That's basically what everybody else has been at this point. And by the way, just so I give the man credit, Goober Pyle is a Terry Foster creation. I got that from him because when he said it for the first time, I laughed so hard I almost spit out my water when I was in the sound booth. So shout out to Terry Foster for that one. I think it is more personnel at this point. And right now, oh boy, you can have those discussions again about looking at Jalen Carter and Kalijah Kancey and thinking what could have been. I'm just saying. Well,
that, again, and that's where Lions fans, especially after watching this pass rush over the last couple of games, I guess that's where their head goes. But it's frustrating, Lucas, and we talk about this again. I think it's more a personnel issue because even you go to and you could go bring up coaching. I think both are fair. Whatever you think it is more so of, it doesn't matter to me. And you even look at the Vikings, Brian Flores and what their defense lost and how they're playing this year. Like, they're not a top defense, but they have Danielle Hunter having a Defensive Player of the Year season. Like, that dude, and he's making others better around him. Aiden, and by the way, Aiden is not a problem, but Aiden has not been maybe what we thought Aiden would be. And partially of that, part of that is also who's around him. But at the same time, there's a lot of pressure on Aiden. He has to wreck games consistently. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't, and Aleem McNeil's not doing it, they got a problem because no one else is doing it.
No one's coming. They're straight behind
Bruce
enemy
Irvin.
line.
Bruce Irvin is coming. Just hold. Backup's on the way.
It's just so, like Flannel said, there's so many layers because it's just like, and the thing is that where I struggle and where the doubt is starting to creep in with me for AG is because I think a lot of where this defense is right now has a lot to do with the personnel coaches. Dre Bly, Kelvin Shepard, you can name the personnel coaches. That's who I think has been doing a really good job. Obviously, AG has something to do with it, but as far as getting to Jerry Jacobs and Malcolm Rodriguez, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Aleem McNeil, getting them up to speed. But at the end of the day, those guys aren't like those dudes. You know what I mean? Like, those are very solid players, and like I'm very appreciative for what they have done here. But at the end of the day, those aren't the guys on the defensive side of the ball that are going to take us to the Super Bowl. Those aren't the guys that are just going to make us an instant contender in the NFC on the defensive side of the ball when you have an aggressive coach like Dan Campbell to his nature, because your defense is going to be put into spots. And when you have that, you want a veteran guy. That's what they have with Alex Anzalone, but you want a veteran guy that can make plays consistently. And if Alex Anzalone doesn't have a defensive front, I think it's hard for him to do that. When he doesn't have a secondary that's locking people down, it's hard to do that. And you can put that on every player on this defense. So again, Cam Sutton, great corner. He's not a lockdown corner. So it's hard to do man coverage and press a wide receiver like Keenan Allen or Devontae Adams, etc. But at the same time, if you don't and you just stay in zone coverage, your defensive line isn't getting home. So those zones in coverage are just going to, like, players are going to fly through them. Like, eventually, it's going to be exposed. So Aaron Glenn's in a really tough situation. To me, this is like one of those things where it is what it is. This Lions defense can play really good, but I don't think you should expect them to because of the personnel. This is one of those things where you're just going to have to ride it out to the end of the year. It is what it is, and correct in the offseason because you're too late in the season really to do anything. So it is what it is, in my opinion.
I want to make this very clear, too. Nobody's saying that AG is the only issue, and this defense is the only issue. The reason why I bring this up is it's part of the issue, truly. I mean, the other issue is turnovers on offense, what starts with your quarterback. That's a problem. But besides that, the Lions' offense as a whole, turning the ball over is a problem. And when you turn the ball over, and you put your already not great defense in compromising positions, to your point earlier, Sam, it does not help. So I want to make that clear. They're not the only issue. But the reason why it's important is because Lions fans, you're 8-3. You're looking at the top teams. You're looking at how does this defense measure against the 49ers? How do they measure against the Eagles? Dallas, which you got later in the year. We'll find that out. Now we're sitting here wondering, can they beat the Saints? And I think they can, but that's where we're at right now. You struggled against the Bears offensively. I get it. You definitely struggled offensively. It's not just the defense, but you struggled as a whole against the Bears and the Packers. Like, that's concerning. Now, it's a long season. Things can change, but that's the reason why you ask these questions. Is like, if we're talking the 49ers and the Eagles and how they've looked, it's very hard not to talk about it, especially how they played Aiden. I mean, you saw them bring a tight end. They motion a tight end over. He chips Aiden. The right tackle blocks Aiden. Then you have the center coming around and chipping Aiden. Like, when defenses, especially when Aleem left and we went into concussion protocol, now defenses or offensive lines are looking at Aiden like, hey, listen, dude, if we can just find a way to kind of stall him for a second, we're completing a pass. Like, we're going to have 6-7 seconds to take our time, pick apart zone coverage, wait till something opens up, because nobody else. You watch Micah Parsons or you watch these other Hassan Reddicks of the world, these guys, like, and they're playing with more talent, but when you watch them, they by default, when there's more guys that can win one-on-ones, dude, it makes everybody better. Like Micah, he's over here opening up things for DeMarcus Lawrence, and other guys are getting sacks. Defensive tackles are getting sacks. That's the thing with Aiden is right now, Aiden will be a great player. He's getting there to be a great player, but they got to get another dude, that can consistently be like, every offensive line's got to look at him and be like, hey, we got to block that guy. Or else if you put him on one-on-ones, he's going to win every single time. Right now, they're like, hey, Julian Okwara, take on our left tackle. Hey, Bohanna, go take on our left guard. We're just going to play one-on-one with you and you're not going to win. And that's unfortunate because the secondary, you could talk, the secondary's not great. Well, they're put in bad positions. Yeah, and they got to stay in coverage for like 7 seconds.
And the Lions' whole identity, like when the Lions start getting on a roll, it's because they're known as that physical unit that will just out-physical you and beat you through 4 quarters of the ball.
Right.
But when your defensive line, to your point, where you can just do one-on-one blocks and just triple team Aiden Hutchinson, now the offense is setting the tone on the other side of the ball. Now the offensive line for the other team is more physical. So it's hard to transition that through the whole course of the game when your identity is being a physical, tough-nosed team and your defense is not able to do that consistently. Now they do step up sometimes, but it's just a matter of consistency, and that's where the lack of talent comes in. But this team's identity is being physical on both sides of the ball, and when you take off one side of the ball, that's when they start looking a little vulnerable, in my opinion.
Well, the reality is that when you talk about the Lions and you talk about the other contenders in the NFC, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Lions aren't even playing the same sport as those teams when it comes to rushing the passer. I mean, you even look at the bookend edge rushers on the other teams. The 49ers, you got Nick Bosa and Chase Young. On the Cowboys, and you got Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave up the middle. I mean, that is a dynamo front four, absolutely, Chase Young. And you look at the Dallas Cowboys, for example, you got Micah Parsons, you've got DeMarcus Lawrence, you've got Osa, you've got Sam Williams, you got Dorrance Armstrong, you got Dante Fowler, and you even look at the Eagles, you've got, especially the Eagles, you look at Hassan Reddick, he has Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. A perfect mesh of savvy veterans, guys in their prime, and young guys.
Jordan Davis is a gigantic human,
and he's actually lost some weight to make him more agile, and and another guy that maybe the Lions could have had, but we're not going to talk about that because Jamison Williams is emerging. The point is that when you look at the Lions, you look at Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil, great. And there is not a single other guy on that defensive line who you even trust this much at this point. Everybody who has had good moments in the past in their Lions career has completely let them down this year. Is that fair?
No,
Anzalone.
it's fair.
Well, of course, but I'm not talking about linebackers, but Anzalone, of course.
You know what's impressive, too, and I'm not going to say it's all because of this guy, because it's not all because of him, but he definitely has something to do with it. When the 49ers acquired Chase Young, do you know how good Nick Bosa has been since?
Yeah.
And I know, again, Nick Bosa is a defensive player of the year. I don't even want to go there. Like, Chase Young's the reason why. You know, in the last 3 games, that man has 5 sacks.
Yeah, he's game right.
Like, and it's very. And by the way, Javon Hargrave, he's been playing well. Eric Armstead's been playing better. But still, like, that's not a coincidence. Like, you go get another dude that offensive lines have to worry about. Oh, here's Nick Bosa, 2 sacks against the Seahawks, 1.5 sacks against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another 1.5 sacks against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been on a tear. Remember, he had 3 sacks. Now he has 8. This is where we're at. So I just want to bring that up again. It's a very simple. Very simple. You get Nate in help, it'll make him even better. So regardless, let's go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about these PFF grades, go through them, react to who played the worst according to PFF, who played the best. And I know PFF ain't the Bible, but we're going to react to some of the stuff. Then we'll preview the NFL as well.
Sam Flannel has something to say about that.
Yeah. Because, again, we're going to address some of those things in the NFL segment. Because, again, talking about Neil Rule for a second, because I know this is rare form. This is rare form for me, but mentioning Neil Rule's name on our show, typically he does it, mentions my name every day on his show. But today, we're going to Neil Rule's Justin Herbert take, his Josh Allen take.
Does JJ McCarthy take?
JJ McCarthy take. There's a lot of. We'll revisit all that when we at 9:15 we'll talk about that. Let's go to break right now. But first, I got to hear about our friends from Swiss Insurance. Sam Flannel.
Do you have football on the brain? Of course you do. Fall ushers in college and professional football, and this year has been awesome, especially Saturday for me. Fall is also a perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. Ask for Market Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com. Or call 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177, Swiss Insurance.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Glorious!
Just in time. It's football season, so you know Glorious has dropped their new ice water bubble hash infused pre-roll called Honolulu Blue. It smells so good, it's like the whiff of the first playoff win in 31 years. It's a gassy, aggressive strain named in honor of our Detroit football team. And if you haven't had one of these ice water pre-rolls, then what are you waiting for? Go to a Dispo dispensary near you right now for 25% off. Use code word Woodward Glorious and check them out online today at gloriouscana.com.
Glorious!
Man, looking at some of these lowest graded offensive players for the Lions, according to PFF on Thursday, and you know what? Actually, Neil Rule would love this. Graham Glasgow comes in at 41.8, otherwise known as the reason why the Lions lost, according to Neil Rule. Graham Glasgow being the reason. If you didn't know that, that's why they lost.
Colby Sorsdahl, too.
And Colby Sorsdahl. Yep, he got benched, so they lost because of him. Mm-hmm. For those who didn't know. So, Lions fans, blame it on Colby Sorsdahl. That's why you lost.
Your 6th round rookie.
Yeah, your 6th round. He didn't step up when it mattered, and they lost because of Colby Sorsdahl. All right, yeah, that's a joke. Regardless, though, some of the lowest-rated players on the Lions offensively, Donovan Peoples-Jones comes in at 43.8, which he had like 2 plays.
Yeah, one of them was a penalty, so that'll do it. That'll do it.
Colby Sorsdahl comes in at 48.2. And then we have Jared Goff, Neil Rule's guy, at 52.7. And then Graham Glasgow, 41.8, like I said. And then Coyote, the offensive linemen did not play well. At least the guys that had to come in and sub in for Jonah Jackson did not play well, because some of the higher-graded players, they have Penei Sewell at 89.4, which, individually okay. As a unit, they did not play well at all. Dan Skipper, 81.4.
Shout out.
Frank Ragnow, 74, and then Khalif and David Montgomery played well, according to PFF. But you look at some of these guys, highest graded defensive players. I want to get to that and kind of, preview whose that was. Josh Pascal comes in at 78.3. Jack Campbell bounces back. And Jack, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about.
That's a good way to put it.
That's how I feel right now about Jack Campbell. I don't know how to feel. He's been slowly coming along. He struggled making some tackles last week. Not against the Packers. I mean, he might have missed a couple, but it was really the week prior. He was all over the place. So I don't know with Jack Campbell, man. I'm not going to go as far to say he's a bust or anything like that. No. It's a slow process. We'll see how he develops. But man, he ain't looking like he's stepping in as your best linebacker. It's going to take some time for him.
Maybe I'm a little quick on the trigger when it comes to this statement. And it's not going to be as bad as you think, but it's something that you certainly wouldn't have thought at the beginning of the year. I'm starting to believe that Jack Campbell's ceiling is this season's Alex Anzalone. His ceiling. And Alex Anzalone's had a damn good year, but I mean, am I crazy? Lucas, I saw you.
My thing is just Jack Campbell, like when we drafted him, like you knew he was a raw guy. And it's just the middle linebacker position where they're not even really letting him play his natural position because Alex Anzalone is having that season. So it's just, I think Jack's a guy that, again, is going to take a little bit of time and patience, but once he picks up the game, he has all the intangibles in the world. Calvin Shepard is a linebacker whisperer. I just think they need that opportunity. Once Derek Barnes is out of the equation, because I don't think they're going to re-sign him, because
that's fair.
I understand he's having a solid season. But when you have Jack Campbell, who's that type of linebacker, once he's out of the equation, I think Jack Campbell will look a lot better. It's just they're playing at the beginning of the season, they had him playing off the edge. He's never really had to do that before, although he is good at getting to the pass or to the quarterback. It's not his natural position. That's not what they drafted him to do. So now that he's kind of playing that role, he's now kind of backtracking probably. And the game's probably just still a little fast for him. And I know that's not what Lions fans want to hear, but once it clicks with Jack Campbell, he's going to be a dude. It's just a little bit of time. I
get linebackers takes, there's rare cases where guys just step on and just are a lead, but a lot of the time it does take a little bit for these guys to come along. Like you said, the game does have to slow down for him a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Like Devin Lloyd, like last year for the Jaguars, the linebacker out of Utah, he's a really solid linebacker right now. He struggled really bad early on.
Yeah,
and he's pretty much the same size as Jack, so it's just a matter of time.
But the thing is, and maybe Jack, but at least Devin eventually started clicking.
Yeah,
maybe we see that with Jack.
That's
There's
what
still
I'm saying.
plenty of games
We're
left.
still about towards the back end of the middle part of the season. December's about to kick in. Teams are going to be running the ball a little bit more because it's colder outside, especially on the road. Like when we go to Chicago, that's going to be a physical game. That's where, if Jack Campbell steps up in those games, that's where I think you see what Jack Campbell could be. I don't think you need to look at the whole season just because, again, he's fighting for snaps with Alex Anzalone, who's balling out. So look at those big moments where a rookie can shine, and that's where I think how you can grade Jack Campbell, in my opinion.
Corey Berry says Jack Campbell had the measurables and the intangibles. The only thing I'm questioning is the jump from Big Ten offenses to the NFL. Now that's actually fair. Brandon Katz says Jack Campbell's always played off the ball. That's wrong. Jack Campbell. He also says Jack Campbell's a second-round talent. Expectations in Detroit are unrealistic because Holmes took him so early. Big Dan Davis. Jack Campbell is a natural middle linebacker. But he's being used as an off-ball linebacker, which is true. Campbell is just playing out of position. Hoof Hardit says Barnes has been okay, but he's been one of those guys that practices better than he plays. JB, what do you think about Jack Campbell, the meat missile? That was the name the heavyweights gave him, it's pretty funny.
It's not accurate though at this point.
Yeah, we might have to take that name back from him as of right now until he kind of proves himself a little bit more. But I think it's fair to say like he has had high expectations for him so far, which he somewhat lived up to that. But we're still waiting for that one game where he just stands out above all the rest right now. So as I can see, what is going on with this camera? Like,
I tried this on Woodward Nights. It looks good.
I'm like, what is going on?
Isn't it a shot?
I mean, this is a good shot. Like, Jesus, it's so dark over here.
It looks like he was caught in 4K. Like, he's like,
wait, what?
He's like, hey, no cameras. Turn them off.
This camera's so dark.
Jeez, it's paparazzi. It's paparazzi, JB.
I don't know. He's gonna come around. It just takes some time for him. Like, he's in a little bit of a slump right now, but he's getting adjusted to this NFL life. Give him a minute.
Yeah, Terry says, give us more side-eye.
That's great.
A-Diz says, Jack Campbell is Darko.
Come on. Well, all right. So,
No. Okay.
No.
All right.
Do we not remember that Darko, the picks directly after him were literally what was it now? Carmelo, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. Every single member of the top 5 of that draft is a Hall of Famer, and then there's Darko. I mean, maybe if Kalijah Cansey becomes like Reggie White or something like that, we can have that conversation. He is balling.
He just struggled against the run, but that's you
knew
expected
that.
him to, yeah, that's
you
what.
Knew that.
No, Jack Campbell is certainly not a bust or anything like that, but for this season, he's the one out of the Lions' first 4 draft picks that hasn't really flashed quite yet. Is that fair?
That's fair. That's
very
100% fair.
That's facts. I mean, Jameer, Laporta, and Brian Branch have all shown out big time in games
Made
where
like
you needed them to.
Game-altering plays in the right way.
Jack has still been a contributor for sure. He's definitely not a waste of a pick. Like, people are saying that he's a bust or anything like that. Like,
what about this though? This is a little aggressive. I'm salty. Says Gerard Davis over Jack Campbell.
Oh,
Gerard Davis.
That pick.
No,
that says Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn as a gift right there.
Gerard Davis was always just lost. I don't think that that's honestly like that. Yeah, Jesus, man.
Shivani Tavai.
Oh, yeah, Jelani was.
He's kind of balling though.
No, he had like a C- season in New England, and then now he's a special teamer.
No, I'm not saying he's great or anything like that.
The one that we let get away was Kyle Van Noy. He's balled
you see that play he made
except Detroit.
You see the play he made on Sunday?
Where he
yesterday?
took the pass? Yeah. And he balled out with Miami for a second.
And he's like 30-something. He's old, dude. He's old, and he's still making some plays. This comment, Harry Clevin says, so thankful Holmes hasn't given Goff an extension. Is Hooker ready if Goff doesn't right the ship? Well, that's only a question I think we haven't seen it. Yeah, that's only a question that, you know, some of the coaching staff knows about Hendon Hooker. We do not know. But I do like how Brad's approached this. He's taken his time with the extension. He hasn't rushed it. I know Neil and others typically say, well, the longer you wait, the higher the stock goes up or the higher the price goes up. Well, you're kind of seeing that now kind of do the opposite. The longer he waits, maybe the price goes down with how he's playing. We'll see how it trends. But I like that Brad did not commit early to anybody. He's letting it kind of play out, which is smart.
Well, and I mean, when it comes to Jared Goff, one of the knocks on him is that if it's cold weather and there's wind, Jared Goff kind of wilts like warm lettuce, i.e. the Baltimore game.
Warm lettuce.
But in the last couple of games, he's been Ford Field Goff, and he's still played like dog shit. So, hey, for the record, that's fair. And
yeah, he has not played well.
Yes.
Sample size would suggest that he'll get back to playing like he usually plays. I don't want to just say 2 games, I'm out on Goff or anything. I think he'll be fine. But when you talk to Lions fans, if you watch the Buffalo versus Philly, guys, like, and this is why Neil, and I want to talk about this next segment, like the L's he's taken with Josh Allen and Justin Herbert.
It's fair. For as much as he calls you out, you catch the strays. It's right.
Yeah, and I don't even say nothing. Like this is that's you see the difference. Like Josh Allen had a bad pick. He had a bad timely pick, but you watch him sling it on the road. Outdoors in those conditions, and they put the ball in Josh Allen's hands, and he took him to OT to a nail biter with his arm and his legs.
His legs, where like, Jared Goff is the least mobile quarterback I've ever seen.
I don't think people like guys. There's like I love Goff, but by the way, he's a solid quarterback. He's always, you know what Goff is. You protect him, you give him a run game, you give him good coaching, and you'll be fine. When you just watch some of these guys, like Justin Herbert against the Ravens defense, I know he fumbled late and he had a pick, but that pick was a Hail Mary, so that wasn't even a true pick. It was garbage time at the end of it, before halftime. These guys are just incredible. incredible. And maybe Goff can up his play the rest of the year and play like a true franchise. We'll see. But the pressure, I think, is on Goff just as much as his defense and the offense as a whole. But regardless, let's go to break. We come back. We'll talk more about around the NFL. We'll go through some of the games. The Eagles finding a way to win once again. And that's another quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Didn't play well in the first half. I was ready to key all over the Eagles today and say, Hurts isn't looking like, no. Best passer rating when trailing. He showed that. He was incredible. It was insane. 3 touchdown passes. What do you have? 2 rushing TDs.
Yeah, bro. That throw to Zacchaeus was crazy.
Dime. I got nothing for you. Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about that. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Big Boy, because wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. If you want breakfast, they got that. Stuffed potato pancakes are back. The classic Lumberjack Santa Fe Garde. Also, apple pie hotcakes that are just too good to miss. I mean, come on. You kidding me? Apple pie hotcakes? Top it all off with the new gingerbread shake for dessert. Stop by your local Big Boy today.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Let's talk about Outdoor Equipment Company, official equipment provider of Woodward Sports, Michigan-grown, family-owned, bad boy mowers, tractors, steel handhelds, and weed whippers, Liberty trailers, Generac generators, plows, and salters. Outdoor Equipment Co. has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing, delivery to your doorstep. Just visit OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Check them out.
Man, NFL, it was nice. It is nice, although the Lions lost, and I had to go to that, and I watched the game in person. It was frustrating. It is nice, though. It is nice when the Lions win, but you get to sit on Sunday and just watch NFL games and just be like,
there was good games.
There was. Lost some money, but it was nice. It was nice. Won a lot of the money, though, on Michigan, so shout out to them for that. But regardless, you got to see the Falcons take on the Saints, and that game was disgusting. It was.
I'm about to say that shit
that game was absolutely disgusting. Derek Carr, by the way, pick 6.
Jesse Bates was balling.
Yeah, he was. Led the team in tackles, and he had a pick 6.
And forced a fumble, too.
And you know what, though? Congratulations, Arthur Smith, for finally using Bijan Robinson. Okay? And not only just using him, but using him in the red zone.
They were checking it down to Kadarius Hodge in the red zone.
Like, dude.
And then they're like, yeah, we'll go Bijan for once. And he took it. Touchdown first play.
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. Caught one and ran in for a touchdown, 16 carries for 91 yards. The Saints... Their defense is always great. Their defense is always solid. So that's one thing you do have to pay attention to. And you're on the road. They were in Atlanta, but this week you're going to New Orleans. But that offense for the Saints, I think that's at least the Lions have that going for them. Their offense, especially with Derek Carr, he's prone to make mistakes. He's going to make a mistake at some point.
Well,
it might even go for 6.
It went for 6 in the last game. And here's why the Saints losing was so big. Because you know what? Maybe it was an overreaction. But after the Lions lost to the Packers, I had some fears that maybe even the Saints could sneak up and steal the 3 seed from the Lions. But that obviously ain't going to happen because the New Orleans Saints have done what they do best this season, which is blow very, very winnable games. They moved the ball down the field for a lot of the game, but could never capitalize. They kicked 5 field goals and threw a pick 6 in which they were going in to score, by the way. So The New Orleans Saints game, it is certainly looking a lot more winnable for the Lions, but at the same time, you can't take this team lightly. But the Saints, maybe they're just bad. I predicted that they would be a team that would win 10 or 11 games and win the NFC South, but now the Atlanta Falcons, the Arthur Smith-led Atlanta Falcons, might just win this damn division.
Because they just took the division lead after the game yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the Saints are just a team, and I've said it 1,000 times, but what are we, in week 13 now?
Yeah.
And they still have not found their identity offensively. Like, they got to do it at every level for the defensive side. Their defense, especially in the secondary, is solid as fuck. But everything else is just like, what are we doing here? Like, Demario Davis was sitting out there with Bijan. Like, I love Demario Davis as a linebacker, but what are you doing there? That's never going to work out, and he got cooked. So the Saints just look lost.
Yeah, they do. And you know who else looks not as lost anymore, but still just disgusting? Steelers win another game. And it's 16-10, another barn burner. It's kind of how the Broncos have been winning, although they scored more. It's just these gross games. Like the Steelers win another one 16-10. They take on Jake Browning. Yeah, grit. Kenny Pickett had the second most yards in a game in his career. I think the first year he had 300 and something last year. He had 278. Had a couple nice throws, I would say, but ugh.
Najee Harris had a nice game though. He's actually as much as we slander him. Flannel, he's actually been kind of looking nice last
There
couple
was
weeks.
one run where he was stopped initially for like 3 or 4 yards, but carried the pile an additional 10. And at that point, you're kind of thinking, Najee Harris, do you now realize that you're a powerhouse when you want to be?
Maybe it was just Matt Canada. Maybe maybe it was a free Najee thing the whole time, and Matt Canada was just holding that man down.
And even as much as I hate the guy, Kenny Pickett, he was slinging it around the field, and he finally, I know Pat Freiermuth was out for a lot of games, but he was one of those young up-and-coming tight ends, but had suffered this year from, I would say, poor quarterback play and injury. Welcome back to the season, Pat Freiermuth, but still.
Yeah, for real. Looking like Travis Kelce out there.
Yeah. Speaking of bar burners, how about Tommy DeVito?
Your boy, Jeff. That's your boy.
DeVito! Tommy DeVito.
We were chirping him at the preseason game. I called him a practice squad player. I was like, DeVito, that just smells like a practice squad name.
You know what? I think you single-handedly sparked this run by DeVito, because at the preseason game, you're chirping him, and he heard you, for sure.
No doubt. He was like in the middle. We were right behind the field goal post, and he was in the end zone. Like they were at their own 2, and we were just chirping him.
And you're chirping this man. Well, you said some effed up stuff to this man, and it's coming alive now late in the season. He had his mom's casserole, and now he's out here. He beat the Patriots. He had 3 touchdown passes last game. And I'm telling you right now, they've won 2 in a row, and they're a lot farther from that -- overall pick than they were. Tommy DeVito is single-handedly keeping them away from Caleb Williams, and I love it. I love it.
Is Tommy DeVito the quarterback of the field? I'm kidding, obviously. But
He's got more win on the season than Daniel Jones.
I'll tell you what, though.
No. Hard pass.
Tommy DeVito is better than Daniel Jones.
Oh. God.
Am I crazy though?
I mean, that might be it's early to tell.
I mean, he's got a 7 to. Well, I'm not going to go there because
what do we got? What's his?
Does he have like 7 touchdowns already?
7 touchdowns, 3 picks. But he also has a 15 quarterback.
Wait, does he really? Ooh, okay. I changed my mind.
He has a
15 QBR.
15 quarterback rating.
That is wild.
Man.
I changed my mind. Daniel Jones is still better. I changed my mind.
Man, Josh Giddey's intrigued with that.
Oh. Okay. That was a low shot, Jeff. Come on.
All right, that was messed up.
I can't believe he was actually out on the court starting.
Yeah.
And now, out of Australia, number 5.
Yeah, that was rough.
Josh!
Yeah.
Giddey!
I mean, was he starting or scouting?
Yeah.
Ooh. Was he starting or scouting? That's the real question.
Yeah, okay, you know what that.
We're all just flags everywhere.
Yeah,
flags all over the field.
maybe we won't. Yeah.
Iafrate. Nah, it wasn't a low blow. Bro deserves it.
Was it true? Am I wrong though? Like you got Josh Giddey's attention.
Actually, you're 2 years off. Technically.
Okay. Yeah, he said 15 quarterback rating.
That's wild, bro.
Yeah, that is insane. But
Kent State too. Did you go to Kent State? You're going to Ohio, bro? I can confirm. I've been to Kent State. I can confirm.
Yeah.
You're Josh Giddey, bro. You're an NBA player.
Could pull any Latino he wanted, Sam. Any Latino he wanted.
And he's just like
going for a underage blonde fucking.
Well, and by the way, yeah, that is a weird situation. That man, I don't know how he's still playing, but regardless, Jags gonna win over the Texans. That was a great game, by the way.
Jeff Iafrate's Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah,
the doink of all doinks, bro.
Yeah, the doink from what was that, like 50 something?
58, bro.
58.
He has never made a field goal from 50 plus, even in that game, because I can't think. Fairbairn, I don't know how to say his first name. Yeah. But kicker's hurt, so Amendola's in there. He's never made a 50-yarder in the game. Missed a 50-yarder before that, and it was a 58-yarder.
And
just
doinked it off the
I felt so
crossbars.
bad for the dude. I felt bad for CJ too.
Yeah, because CJ, I gotta give, and this is the thing. You look at quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks. When you face adversity, how do you handle it? And that was the big question that you had about CJ, because it was adversity. He didn't face a ton of it at Ohio State. That wasn't just you, by the way. That was a lot of people. He looked good in the face of adversity, dude. Like he did. Like,
every year or every week this year that he has.
Yes. I mean, he was down in the second quarter. You go back, he's down by a score. He answers. Jacksonville answers. He answers. And then, of course, late in the game, that drive that the Jacksonville Jaguars got, they led down. They got a field goal. And you know what? Josh Allen single-handedly said, no, not today, forcing him to take a 58-yarder, and unfortunately it doinked off the crossbar. But C.J. Stroud led the team in rushing. Yeah. They couldn't run the football. C.J., they compared him to Jared Goff with his mobility. Looked a lot more mobile. He had a rushing touchdown. I think C.J., another 300-yard game, 2 TDs. But credit to the Jacksonville Jaguars, though. They're chasing that number 1 seed right now in the AFC.
Oh, that's unbelievable to me, because as much as I respect the Jaguars and love a lot of their pieces and a lot of their talent, they, to me, are not a number 1 seed team. But when you think about it, the Lawrence to Ridley connection is coming back and is strong. I mean, they have Travis Etienne, and I'll tell you what, too. Josh Allen is turning into a superstar right before our eyes. If he was not on that field wrecking that final drive, I believe the Houston Texans not only tie the game with a field goal, but score a go-ahead touchdown.
Yeah.
That was a superstar-level game from Josh Allen, who is becoming a superstar-level player. He's slowly becoming a guy who could maybe sneak into the All-Pro this year. It's going to be tough.
I wanted the Lions to get him.
Yeah.
Pick before.
We could do this all day.
He went the pick before, so you can't even do anything about it. That was the Hawk draft, wasn't it?
It was. Josh Allen, he has 12 sacks on the season. He's having a hell of a year. Tied with Danielle Hunter now. So if Danielle's in that conversation, Josh Allen's creeping in that conversation.
And Josh Allen's a better player than Danielle Hunter, I think.
Yeah, he's got 2 forced fumbles, 12 sacks.
He's put on some fucking size since he got in the NFL, too. He was kind of skinny coming out of Kentucky.
Kentucky.
He bulked up. He's like 250-something, 6'5".
Menace now.
Yeah, he's a freak of nature. All right. Jag got to win. They're 8-3. They move up. Next game that I thought stood out to me before we go to break here, I wanted to bring up Chiefs-Raiders and then Eagles-Bills. Chiefs Raiders, and by the way, and I texted our group chat this, Aiden O'Connell
slinging that bitch.
I'm not even trying to be funny. He was kind of slinging that thing early on. They went up 14, and I was sitting there going, "Well, the Chiefs of our lifetime with Patrick Mahomes in this span, they find a way to win these games." That's what I'm thinking to myself. But I'm like, could they lose to the Raiders right here? No, they found a way. They found a way. Finally, Justin Watson. Finally, Rashee Rice is getting the recognition and the targets that man deserves, because he's their best wide receiver. He is. And I don't think he's gotten enough targets, or he hasn't been involved enough. And then you have Travis Kelce bouncing back. Those two guys need to lead your team in receiving every single week. Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. Those are your 2 best playmakers on the outside.
100%. And if Rashee Rice can develop into not a true number 1 receiver, maybe he can do that in a few years, but Patrick Mahomes' favorite reliable wide receiver target, then maybe the Kansas City Chiefs can achieve the goals of winning the 3rd Super Bowl in 6 seasons, which I definitely still think is achievable, because Patrick Mahomes bounced back. And Rashee,
it's not you. I'm looking at the comments.
Oh, I'm sure there's something else. But hey, the Kansas City Chiefs, they got down big after suffering a disappointing loss the week before, and they found a way. They're still the Chiefs. They are still a force to be reckoned with.
Is Brandon Katz really
taking a hill for Josh Giddey?
Is Brandon Katz really defending Josh Giddey? That is I did not expect that.
Wait, what?
Cats, get off that hill, bro. That's just fucking weird.
Sounds like Cats. This is like personal for him. I don't know what. I don't want to talk about what he does in his personal time or anything. That's wow. Yeah, hide your kids. All right, let's let's go to hide your kids, man. Hide your wife. All right, let's go to break here. When we come back, we'll get into the Monday Night Football game tonight. 2 NFC North opponents: Vikings, Bears. Another barn burner, I think. We'll see how that goes. But first, we got to hear about our friends from Guardian Alarm. Talk to us.
Yes,
Sam Flannel.
let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
All right, 3, 2.
Hey, it's Chris Hansen, Woodward Sports. Let's go.
Experience Dispo Romeo, a team that curates an exclusive atmosphere mixed with fresh inventory from Michigan's largest variety of products. The first ever cannabis mall of its kind is conveniently located off of Van Dyke and 32 Mile Road in Romeo. Keep it together, guys. Dispo Romeo is now open late night until midnight, except every day except Sunday. Can it get any better than that? Dispo Dispensary, DispoShops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Brandon Katz. Take a seat. Take a seat right over there. Let's talk. Chris Hansen, you know what to do. Take care of it. Take care of it, Chris Hansen. Woodward Sports' own Chris Hansen. You should be fearful, Katz. What the hell? Look at that.
Hey, it's Chris Hansen, Woodward Sports. Let's go.
Yeah, no need to fear. No need to fear. Chris Hansen is here. He's here to take care of it. Imagine, that's the collab we need. Josh Giddey and Chris Hansen.
He's watching. He's got all eyes, Cats. He's watching you.
Oh my gosh, man! I did not when you think of things that are going to happen today. Like usually you could. That is not one I saw. I foreseen happening. Is Cats defending Giddey? That is not something. Oh my gosh! All right. Wow, Carl Malone,
he needs to take a seat.
Yeah, too. Carl Malone. Yeah,
no, Carl Malone's way worse though. He should have never played an NBA game.
He had kids with
Scum. One of the biggest pieces of shit of any athlete ever.
So I don't even know where to start, man. Tonight, Monday Night Football, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings. Man, these primetime games, they age so poorly.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the Thursday night games too, some of what they've had on TV is atrocious. It's all atrocious. Tonight, you think they're fired up to see the Minnesota Vikings with Josh Dobbs taking on Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears.
Need their defense to give me 5 points.
I'm
fired up.
Come on.
The Vikings, though, I mean, they're still fighting for a division. And the Lions...
They are.
And for the record, the Lions, as Lions players or Lions fans, we no longer have the right to just scoff at the Vikings because the Lions lost to the Packers. So the Vikings are still very much alive. But it's on the Bears to pull off the upset tonight. I think they can do it, for real.
Yeah, listen, this is on the road, too. Justin Fields, they travel to Minnesota. To me, this is a game, and right now, according to ESPN Bet, the Minnesota Vikings are 3-point favorites at home. That's about a pick 'em. I mean, they're at home, so they're giving them 3. But this game, to me, especially with how the Bears looked against the Lions, I think, especially the Vikings, coming off what they did against the Denver Broncos. What's up? What's happening?
Adam.
Oh God, Jesus.
Love you, Adam. Bad take, though. As Cats would say, bad take, Adam.
Wow. Yeah, that's a... Damn. Giddy did nothing wrong, huh? That's what he said. Well, okay. Regardless, let's pick a winner here. Who do you guys see out coming out on top? I'll go. I think Vikings get the win tonight because I do believe they're gonna be one of those teams where the Lions are gonna have to win both those games at the end of the year to kind of solidify the division. I don't think they're a threat to win the division, but they're gonna be on the Lions' ass at least late in the season for the NFC North race. They're above 500. I think this game takes them 2 above 500. And then you look at their schedule coming up. The Vikings, just who they have. They have Chicago, Las Vegas, the Bengals with Jake Browning, and then they have the Lions, Green Bay Lions. Like, besides those Lions games, which they'll be favored in, the Lions will, I believe, at home and on the road, they'll be favored, I think, in the rest of these games, to be honest with you. Even on the road to Cincy, Jake Browning, yeah, the schedule got a lot easier now for the Vikings. So this is a game where you hope the Bears win to kind of even it out, but I think the Vikings take this one. I do.
Yeah, I think the Vikings win this game as well. And I think one of the biggest factors as to why is because I think Danielle Hunter will have one of his better games of the year because he's going against that Chicago Bears offensive line. Justin Fields tends to hold on the ball a little bit too long. I got the Vikings winning this one, but I think it'll be close. One of my predictions is that Justin Fields hits DJ Moore for a 50-plus yard touchdown today because I think that DJ Moore wins the one-on-one matchup with Byron Murphy. But I still think the Vikings win.
Yep, I'll go Vikings close. What do you think, Lucas?
Yeah, I think it's good. I want it. My gut tells me to say the Vikings, but it's Josh Dobbs, and I get that he's been playing nice, but again, they're going to come down to earth eventually. The Bears' defense is looking like it's coming along somewhat.
Is Justin Jefferson playing?
No, if he does play, it's better be on a snap count. Okay, he'd be very limited because I know he's like questionable, and then he might even be doubtful. But maybe I could be wrong, but I don't think he's going to play. If he does, not much. But I just think the Bears, they'll just find a way. I think my gut says the Vikings, but when you think about it just matchup wise, I think the Bears kind of got them in a couple of places.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna go with the Bears.
Okay,
it's a good one. What about you, JB?
This is a fairly decent matchup. I kind of feel like Lucas on this. I want to lean Vikings, but just something tells me that Justin Field and the Bears will somehow find a way to pull this one out. So I'm taking the Bears on this one.
All right, there you have it. Let's go to break. We come back. We'll get to
that's a sweet angle for real.
We'll get the what's running with Lucas, and then of course we'll get to mailbag. So stay tuned for that. First off, we do need to hear about our friends from not Dispo, but at this point it'd be Lady Jane's because we already read Dispo.
Lady Jane's, of course.
What do you got, Sam Flannel?
Hey, come to Lady Jane's for haircuts for men for an award-winning haircut experience where I get my A+ haircuts from the A+ stylists. Of course, I'm looking at the building right now to paraphrase my awkward line from a while ago. Register to win a trip of your dreams, an all-expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. That's right. No expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Josh Giddy.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays. Join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
Abby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then, she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Les Stanford. What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. That's exactly what Les Stanford has been doing. Matt and Les Stanford Buick GMC, the same great service that customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com. Welcome back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. If you do us a favor, hit that like button. It does help, push the stream out there. It helps the algorithm, and it supports the network. Let's set the tone on a Monday for the rest of the shows here. Breaking news. Frank Reich has just been fired by the Carolina Panthers. Moving on before his first season is over, per Ian Rappaport. Guys, I'm not going to sit here and argue how great Frank Reich is, but what? You just hired this man. You knew the process it would take.
Yeah.
And you fired him. Like, that is the most. And by the way, before Frank Reich was hired, I thought this job was pretty much guaranteed for Ben Johnson because he has ties to the Carolinas, and it just felt like a good situation. It's Ben. You got a rookie quarterback. It made sense. They went with Frank Reich. I'm curious what route they go this offseason. But why? Like, there's more problems than just Frank Reich on that team. What about the GM who signed Miles Sanders to that contract? You going to fire him too? I mean, come on. And Frank Reich's the guy who wanted C.J. Stroud. He's the guy who wanted he preferred C.J. Stroud. He got Bryce Young and got fired.
Well, maybe they're just saying, like, they obviously see that C.J. Stroud is not there. Bryce Young is there, and they're not working with Bryce Young, and their offense looked really rough yesterday. Like, it looked brutal. Like,
it did, but
the Tennessee Titans offense looked better with a rookie Will Levis, and it's just like Frank Reich's supposed to be the quarterback guy, and you have the number 1 pick, and a third-round quarterback's looking better than your first overall pick.
Well, and I'm not trying to defend him, but it also helps when Will Levis has DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry.
I'm with you, but I'm saying maybe they just want him out. You know what I mean? Like,
I get
obviously,
it. It's just, damn. Look at this. Special teams coordinator Chris Tabor is now the interim head coach and addressing the team now. Jim Caldwell moves to special advisor, working with the offense. Good luck, Jim Caldwell, by the way. That offense. But David Temper, Speakeasy, says David Temper's a wild man. He is, dude.
Yeah,
that is nuts.
Fucking
and
psycho.
I watched the Panthers-Bears game. I believe it was. I could be wrong. But they panned to David Temper, and he's just throwing a tantrum. He
obviously didn't like Frank.
Oh, yeah. He didn't like what was transpiring. But again, like, you knew what you signed up for. Am I wrong? Like, in Frank Reich, I'm not defending he's a great coach, but damn.
I kind of feel bad for Frank Reich because I did a little bit of digging really quick because I remember at one point he was a really kind of one of the next big things when it comes to coaches because in 2017 he was the offensive coordinator with the Eagles the year they won the Super Bowl, and in 2018, his first year with the Colts, he's gifted Andrew Luck as his quarterback, and then obviously Andrew Luck has a great year. They go to the playoffs, they win one playoff game and lose to the Chiefs in the divisional round, but after that, Andrew Luck retires unexpectedly, and then his coaching career has basically been downhill since. I mean, the Colts had a winning record in 2020, but Frank Reich has put himself in a situation by taking this Carolina Panthers job and getting fired so soon. He may never be a head coach in the NFL again. And I know for a fact
he shouldn't be, though.
Well, but I also don't think there's 32 head coaches in America that are better than him. But at this point, like, who's going to give him the benefit of the doubt? Nobody. He's
I know.
Lifetime coordinator now.
No, and I do believe, Lucas, that the Houston Texans, that situation sped this thing up.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at it like, oh, the Houston Texans were in a rebuild. They got a quarterback They got a pretty damn good head coach in D'Amico Ryans. The defense is buzzing, which, again, he's a defensive coordinator. Defense is better.
OC's doing their thing.
OC, he brought from San Francisco. He's a great OC, by the way. Super underrated. Who the Texans have. He'll be a head coach one day. But it's what they're doing in Houston. I think David Tepper's looking over there like, what the hell? But then he also forgets that Houston has Tank Dell, Nico Collins. They got weapons. Panthers got 40-year-old Adam Thielen, who's having a great season, but
don't disrespect.
He's been solid.
I'm with you.
But that's who they're relying on.
No, I'm with you. They obviously see what's happening right now is not going to work, and it's like it could look bad with his rookie season, like it just is, and first year season with Reich as well, but not that bad. Like Miles Sanders to that contract, what he's getting out of him, absolutely
terrible.
Nothing.
Worst contract in the NFL.
Yeah, it's rough, but it's psycho. But obviously, Frank Reich wasn't winning that team a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like he just never has been. So it's just like, all right, if he's not doing that, we're this bad. Let's just restart while we can. It's better to do it late than never.
And it's a bad look, I think, and we'll see with head coaches that have options, like a Ben Johnson. If I'm Ben Johnson, why the hell would I go to Carolina?
Yeah,
he made the right call.
I'm not going over there. That dysfunctional organization. I got to work for that guy, David Tepper, who's got a temper apparently. With firing and hiring these guys, come on, dude. I'm not going there. So again, I think, and not saying you have to be patient with Frank Reich for 5 years, but the whole point of Frank was he was a bridge. We knew that he was a guy that was just supposed to get him out of the mud and at least make them just decent, and then maybe you can go find your head coach. They didn't wait a full season.
Nope, it's
fired his ass right in the
Fook that guy.
Fook that guy apparently.
Who the fuck is that guy?
It is what it is. Sorry to take up the whole segment, Lucas, but that was shocking.
Yeah, no, that's.
I mean,
wild.
He lasted longer than Brandon Staley. Think about that.
Facts.
Like, think about that for a second.
Well, Justin Herbert can do that for you.
Yeah.
I guess so. But they're 4 and what? What
7?
4 and 7 now? You kidding me?
Staley's
with that roster, Staley should be fired right now. He should have taken an Uber home. Speaking of that, with Ryan Day, he should take an Uber home. Staley shouldn't even be able to ride home with the team. Ridiculous. You got anything else for us?
Literally not. How is he not? No, nothing like that was truly meaningful. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Whatever. Who cares though? Honestly, we'll see who they hire next. Probably mess it up again.
Probably.
But you know what? Hell with it. Bring in Jim Caldwell. Yeah, screw it. That'll save the locker room, huh?
He's a locker room guy. Like every players like him. Hey.
Jesus.
You guys seen like all the John Gruden love going around on social media recently?
John Gruden?
Yeah, there's John Gruden love going around right
Jesus.
now. That's just a weird situation, man.
And the GM should be out with them. I mean, you traded your first round pick. You signed Miles Sanders to the worst contract probably in the history of running backs. That contract is disgusting for how he's playing. Like, dude, but Frank Reich, you stink. Get out of here. Okay.
Good thing they acquired DJ Chark in the offseason.
Yeah, and that offense is not built for a guy like DJ.
It's disgusting to watch.
Yeah, it really is. That is not a
I wonder what their highest scoring game of the year is.
It was with Andy Dalton as their quarterback. I can promise you that.
And I think, I'm going to be honest with you, I think the other one was garbage time against the Lions. They scored like 24. But they still dominated that game. But still, I don't think they scored many more points than that the rest of the season. I could be wrong. I think that's the most touchdown passes 24. He had.
Oh, they had 27 against the Seahawks.
That was Andy
Dalton?
Yeah. Lots of 10s and 13s.
21 to the Panthers, and then, the Lions are it. Lions,
Jesus.
Yeah. It's not a good look, but...
Okay. Isaiah Sanders says, Sanders hasn't been good, but he only got $13 million guaranteed. It isn't that bad. $13 million guaranteed.
Off of probably like 200 rushing yards.
Chuba Hubbard looks better.
Yeah, no, they literally.
And where was he drafted at? Late in the draft, somewhere.
Yeah, he was. Where did he come out of?
And Chuba was good at Oklahoma State. He was really good at Oklahoma State, but man, and I'm pretty sure they got Miles Sanders.
Using him out the backfield, why not? Kendall Blackshear, whatever.
Yeah, Blackshear. I mean, come on, dude. Yeah. Jesus. All right, let's go to break here. We'll get to mailbag. Get your questions ready. But that is crazy. Brandon Staley should be fired very quickly.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
Today,
right now. But let's go to break. Before we do that, though, I got to tell you about our friends over at Feldman. Let me do it. All right, Feldman Chevrolet.
You do that, Jeff.
Detroit's #1 Chevy dealership, 18 locations. Of course, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit FeldmanAuto.com to find the location nearest to you. Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. Catch Woodward Sports Live from Feldman Chevrolet and Novi every other Monday. We'll see you right after the break.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. Whether you landscape for your job or landscape for fun, get all your equipment from Outdoor Equip Co., the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays to join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
When buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time for any reason with no penalty? That is exactly what Mark White & Associates offers. It's called a minute-by-minute listing agreement by Mark White & Associates. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesells.com or call 248-290-8242. markwhitesells.com, where flexibility meets success.
Mailbag time. Get your questions ready. Nick Bunning says, mailbag is Catsapetto. I don't know.
We can nor or confirm.
I can't confirm nor deny that. Rye Ness says, mailbag, is AG still coaching next year if the Lions defense flops the rest of the year, but the Lions win 11 games? I wouldn't say AG's job is in question yet. I think for me at least, and I'll just speak for myself, for me to go as far as to say we need a new defensive coordinator would be if this team had more talent defensively and they weren't putting it together. That's where it's a strictly a coordinator issue. Right now it's hard to, especially at the end of the year, if they're still not getting pressure on the quarterback, I'm going to look at AG like, hey man, fix it. And they don't have anybody else besides Aiden or Lee McNeil on the defensive line. So I'm a little different with that. I think they need more talent for me to definitively say it's AG's fault and only AG's fault at this point. That's how I feel.
I would agree with that to an extent, but if the Lions finish this season with 11 wins, I think that would be a disappointment, especially if they win 11 games, but the defense remains bottom 10 in the NFL in scoring. I mean, in scoring defense. I already laid it out earlier why it's not all AG's fault. Like, offenses put him in some bad situations, injuries, all of that, lack of talent on the defensive line, players not stepping up. But AG's not perfect. He's got some things he's got to clean up too. But by the way, if the Lions defense doesn't perform well to end the year, it's probably less likely that he'll get any head coaching consideration as well. So that could actually mean he's more likely to come back. I don't know. I wouldn't fire him as of right now.
Thor Neal says, mailbag, hey fellas, that Goff for a first-round pick is looking more tempting. That's where I'm not going to go yet with that. I don't want to. Again, 2 bad games. I'm already ready to trade for a first-round pick and get a quarterback. Where's the first-round pick at? I would ask that.
Yeah.
If it's a top 3 pick,
that ain't, bro. If
I could get, if you're telling me I can get Drake May or Caleb Williams, I'm listening. But like, what do you want? I'm going to get Bo Nix. I'm good. Yeah. I'll keep going. Yeah, cool. You know what I mean? I'm not
cool. Or maybe another piece for and I'm not saying I want that, but then you can look at it. Oh, maybe you can go get another piece for Hendon.
If you can get a hell of a defensive player,
go get another tackle, but top 5 tackle.
Yeah, but I'm not there yet. But hey, if you feel like that's the move, then so be it. All right, next question. Big Con asks, and I want to get this question. Oh gosh, before Jesse Adams, mailbag, who's a better GM, Jackie Moon or Troy Weaver? That's absurd. All right, that's
give me Jackie
Moon.
Jackie Moon. Big Dan Davis, mailbag. Will Jim Harbaugh leave for the NFL once the season's over with all this stuff coming out from the NCAA investigation? I think that's a storyline. Although we had this conversation last year and he returned. I think he'll return. I don't think Jim goes to the NFL, but I could be wrong. I think he stays at Michigan.
Well, I hope he stays at Michigan. Well, what I hope happens is Michigan wins the national championship this year, so it will make whatever decision Jim Harbaugh makes a lot easier to stomach. I just want that one. I want it so bad I would do just about anything for it. But the other question is Jim Harbaugh aging himself out of the NFL at this point? Because I don't think he's as hot of a commodity for an NFL coach as maybe people would think. He's had a lot of success with the 49ers, but that was a while ago. People want that young, innovative coach, and I just don't know if there'll be enough openings or there'll be enough of a demand. We shall see, though.
This question, too. GZYK says, mailbag, I need 28 fantasy points to win. Who do I start, Fields or Dobbs?
Fields.
I would go Fields because he's going to... Like, Dobbs, I bet on his rushing yards. I could be a little biased here, and I missed, so I'm mad about it. Fields, I think, will hit his rushing total, and he's looked pretty good.
Dobbs is not going to launch a nuke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Fields has
will
shown.
Take a couple deep shots, but Dobbs, you're just relying on rushing touchdowns if you want to get that many points.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Fields will collectively, he has a better shot, in my opinion. Or if you want to go with Dobbs at home, cool, but I'm rolling with Fields. I'm with you. Would you agree with that? What do you think? Dobbs or Fields?
I'd go
28 points fantasy.
Fields.
Okay.
Fields for sure.
Ray Smith says Dallas's defense is going to embarrass us. Well, they got a damn good defense. And they're turning the ball over at a crazy rate. Like, that's a game where on the road, I know we joke about, like, Jared Goff legacy game, but, like, that's a game where, like, man, their offense is going to be tested.
Their defense gets better by the week,
They do, it seems like. I mean, Deron Bland, another pick six. It's ridiculous.
Does he have 8 by that point?
Yeah, for real. Chuck Brewer, mailbag, worst NFL fine ever on St. Brown. That fine was
disgusting.
I think the NFL had to pay off a debt or something.
Yeah, they owe taxes.
They owe something. There's no way. $42,000 for an illegal block? For a guy making $800,000, $900,000 a year?
Well, that's the thing. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we all know he's going to get paid in the future, but right now he's on a fourth round pick rookie contract. That's not chump change. That's not just like, oh, he's in the NFL. He can withstand that. No, that's a big chunk of money, especially for a guy who's on a fourth round rookie contract.
Sean Murphy's shout out to Sean Murphy, by the way, from Half Court. Check it out. Pistons content, especially during this time. If you want to listen to anything from Half Court, he says, "Why does Jeff look like a business major on spring break?" That's fair. You know what? That's fair. I got my check out the shirt. You see who it is right there. You see it right here. There you go.
I do.
Look at that. Yeah. So I'm trying to just reminisce about the great days. You know what I mean? Especially with how garbage this season has been. Look at that. Telling me Sheed? Come on. What are you doing?
Good face.
That is, this is uncomfortable. You should do that with Sam Flannel more often. Just while he's ranting, just put the camera right in his face.
I do it to him.
Dante says, mailbag, do you think the Lions would draft Roman Wilson in the third round, late second in 2024?
I don't mind that.
I don't know.
I'm not a Roman Wilson. Dude, Ronnie Bell went in the 7th round.
Okay, but I think Roman Wilson's a better wide receiver than Ronnie Bell. And I'm not saying Ronnie Bell's a bum, but as far as being able to transition to the NFL, Roman Wilson has a lot of quickness and he's burst and solid hands. I think he transitioned to the NFL better than Ronnie Bell.
For a third, I'd
take a third round pick, bro. Come on.
I would.
Come on. If Jaden Reed was a second round pick, Roman Wilson's at least a third.
But Jaden Reed's better than Roman Wilson.
They do a lot of the similar things, though.
He's better.
I'm not going to say, I'm not going to get mad at you over that, but I'm saying they're similar as far as what they do.
Yeah. If we're talking Michigan players I'd have, it all starts defensively, man.
Give me Kenneth Grant first.
Give me Rod Moore. I want Rod Moore. Because Will Johnson will be a first-round pick, but Rod Moore, he could be one of those guys, falls in the second.
Chris Jenkins.
Jenkins.
I think that's why Brad was there too. Rod Moore and Chris Jenkins.
You're getting this dude. Look at all the NFL talent on the field.
Does
Brad
Jenkins
Holmes
come out this year?
Yes.
Oh, that's who I want. If we have late in the first round, that's who I want.
Who, Chris Jenkins?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be mad at Rod Moore either.
Yeah. Bring them both home.
Bring them home. Bring them home. Let's see. Big Con 51 mailbag. Who gets their third win? Pistons or Wizards? Jeez, that's a lot. We'll close it out.
Talk about big game tonight.
Dude, the legacy game.
Barn burner. Yeah.
Jesus, man. Oh, God.
Depression and obsession.
It really sucks. It really sucks. I'll tell you, it sucks. Like the Pistons, they suck. And by the way, Pistons organization, you guys know how I feel, and I do defend them often. I can't defend whatever's been going on. I can't defend it. I can't defend the losses. I can't defend how they look. I got nothing for you. So, you know what? Take a victory lap. Take it. They stink. All right, let's get out of here. What the? How's it going?
Oh, where's that camera coming from?
Thanks for joining the program. Hey, catchphrase. Let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys. Great Monday show, man. It really was. We got a lot of stuff planned for the week. We're covering more Lions versus Saints. What a shot, by the way. That's Hollywood right there. Lot to discuss later in the week. Can't wait to get to it. Shout out to Sam Flannel. Shout out to Sam Flannel, by the way. Hey. Sam Flannel. We gotta have that shot more often. Like if I'm talking my ish, I'm like, this is a Jared Goff legacy game. Told you. All right, we'll get out of here. Appreciate you guys. Sam Flannel, JB, Lucas Klotz. We'll see you tomorrow. Check out the rest of the shows. Big Day Energy, Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, and of course, Heavyweights and Woodward Knights. Close out your night with them. Until tomorrow, have a great Monday, everybody. Catch up. See ya. Go Blue.